Parkcast, the UK's original theme park podcast.
Welcome back to Parkcast Park Fans. We're a podcast for theme park fans, and we're here every week talking about things in the theme park world. I'm Bex, this is Kev.
Hi everyone.
And we're joined once again by, well, what one Parkcast listener described as the man from the US, which we can now call you that just in every episode. Mark Rosenzweig, welcome back to Parkcast.
You can call me America Boy.
Do you have the muscles to go with that superhero-esque name?
Stars and stripes, almost forever.
Well, you are back on Parkcast. You've been with us quite recently doing some road trips. So if you've not heard those episodes, go and check out those if you fancy going and visiting some US theme parks. But this week you're back because I wanted to do a roundup of everything that went on at IAAPA, which took place just last week. And you were there. You were lucky enough to go. And it wasn't your first rodeo to IAAPA either, was it?
No, it was IAAPA Expo number 26 for me. The only year I missed it was in 2020, and that's a good reason because the show did not happen that year. So
literally, you've been every year.
1999 was my first IAAPA Expo. It was in Atlanta, Georgia. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was working for Zamperla, and at the time, Zamperla still brings operating rides to the expo, but they had 2 to 3 rides in their indoor booth, and then they also rented space in the outdoor area and had 3 to 4 large rides, thrill rides out there. So I was on the lucky team that got in early to help set those up and clean them and get them ready, get them show ready, essentially. So,
wow. Have you ever been not working? Have you been just as a fan? Always
nope.
working?
I have never attended IAAPA as an attendee just to hang out. Like I would go to a car show or something like that. Nope. Always been there to work, either representing various companies, whether those I work for or those that I own. So
amazing. I've said on the podcast before, it's on my bucket list to go to IAAPA. I think I'm going to go to the one in the UK next year, but the one in Florida is like one of those things I really want to go to. For anyone who's listening who, well, if you haven't heard of IAAPA, you probably have if you're listening to this podcast because it's, you know, a massive thing in the theme park world. But just in case you haven't, what is it?
IAAPA stands for the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, and it is the industry for themed entertainment and attractions, whether it's theme parks, zoos, aquariums, museums, roadside attractions. And, it provides advocacy for the operators and the manufacturer suppliers. And it's just the expos they put on every year. There's usually one, the big show that's in Orlando every year in November. Then there's shows that change locations in Europe and Asia, respectively. The Asian Expo is usually in June, and the Euro Expo is usually in September. So totally worth doing, especially if you are in the industry or thinking of getting into the industry. It is the optimal place to network and just learn more about the industry that we all love.
Is it quite stressful, Mark? Then obviously it seems quite a really fun thing, but I suppose if you're working there, do you find it quite stressful? Like, are you trying to sell things to these big companies who are coming to look at things?
Yeah, I have a different outlook. The older I get and the more years that I've been in the industry, Kev, I have a much different outlook. And, you know, it's interesting you bring that up because sales tends to come with a negative connotation. You know, people think of the person with the trench coat, like, hey, I got this for you. You want to buy this or that or what have you. Sales really, for me as a sales professional, it's being a qualified person, you know, with the knowledge base of the product in the industry and bringing qualified product to a qualified buyer. So the buyers are there because they want to buy. The sellers are there because they want to sell. And the best part about it is the networking and getting to learn more about different products and meeting new people and just finding new opportunities to do business. And that's really what these expos are about. It's really less about the product and way more about the people. And I say that wholeheartedly.
But you don't have to work in the industry, do you? You can just buy a ticket as a layman, as an enthusiast, if you want to just go and be nosy and see what's going to be about. Like, it's not cheap, but it isn't just an industry professionals expo.
You are correct. I will preface this, and this is me just, being straightforward, is that there are professional guidelines that go with attending an expo, and it is not coming into the show as a fan of the industry and seeing a roller coaster designer or someone that you know from seeing their photo online and running up to them and interrupting them while they're in a business conversation type thing. This sounds like very basic, straightforward guidelines, but you would be surprised that many people don't seem to understand that. But yes, everyone is welcome to attend the show, to see the media announcements and see the new tech and the new product. And it's really not a lot different than, I used to attend the car shows in New York City growing up and wanting to see the new models, as they come out, and all the different manufacturers always try to one up one another. And it really has become that way with IAAPA, with the media announcements and the roller coaster car and the dark ride car unveilings. It really is something where, 1,000 people will be standing around an exhibitor's booth waiting for that moment. It is very exciting.
Well, and understandably, because we are nerds about this kind of thing, and the sight of a shiny new roller coaster car always gets us excited. Which, well, we'll go through some of the big announcements. Some of these you might have missed, some of them you'll know all about. But because you were actually there, Mark, I think it's good to get it from your point of view. So let's start with a shiny new roller coaster car. The new Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift car was there at the show. You saw it in person. You sent a picture of it to me. I was very jealous.
It was a showstopper, and Intamin has one of the most centrally located booths, or stands, as you guys would call it. I guess it's the same thing, booth, stand, etc. In the expo, dead center on the main aisle in the ride vendor area. The car is spectacular looking. I mean, they just did a bang out job with it, and it looks so big for a vehicle that only holds 4 riders. It looks like something that could theoretically hold 8 riders, but they're keeping it realistic, right? You don't typically put 8 people in the backseat of a car. So, and I believe, if memory serves, that this ride will run trains made up of 4 coaches each that will make up a train. So it's 16 per train. I imagine the ride will operate with 3 to 4 trains on the circuit. It's a multi-launch coaster with some drifting features in the car. Built on the hillside at Universal Studios Hollywood. So it's the park's first major outdoor thrill ride. They've had Revenge of the Mummy, the ride, for quite some time. I think since 2003, 2004, around that time period. So this thing is just dominating. It wraps around the escalator that leads from the upper lot down to the lower lot. Really, it's going to become an instant icon for the park.
Yeah, whole new sort of concept as well, to be drifting on a track. It's not something that we've seen before. We've spun and we haven't just
and the park has really not released much of any information on the ride, just saying it's going to open in 2026. But watching test cycles, it definitely seems to run slower than I had envisioned it running. Now, of course, watching something and riding something is always 2 different things, but it could very well be that the park ordered a family thrill ride, and I would not fault them for that, to keep the demographic wide open. I don't know what the height requirement for this will be. I imagine it'll come in at 48 inches, but that is still to be seen. So really, really good fit for the park. They have the junior coaster in the Wizarding World, Flight of the Hippogriff. They've got Revenge of the Mummy, and now they'll have this. So their 3rd roller coaster. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And the other big announcement from Intamin was their multi-dimension mover, which is sort of a new concept in dark ride. There was quite a few dark ride type announcements, but this is an interesting one from them.
Yeah, and this is I believe it's a collaboration with dark ride manufacturer ETF that's based in the Netherlands, and it's going to incorporate some technology that Intamin has used, as well as trackless dark ride technology that ETF has used in the past, allowing the dark ride vehicles to launch. Any number, basically sky's the limit type of thing. So it'll almost be like an operator can look at a menu board and pick the different features they want in the ride and kind of build their own custom ride. Intamin has, through their history, their very first amusement ride project was the oil derrick at Six Flags Over Texas. That goes back to the early 1960s, all the way through today. Their DNA is innovation. They're not afraid to take chances. They go all out. There are some manufacturers that tend to play it a little safer, and there's nothing wrong with either, by the way. You pick your identity and you go with it. But Intamin has never been afraid to take chances and be very bold. And this is another example of that.
You're
Yeah.
always going to get something good with Intamin, aren't you? I think you just,
Yeah.
when if you've got a park saying we're going to do an Intamin, you're in. For me personally, I'm always excited about what that's going to be. I don't know about you, Bex, but when it's an Intamin, it's there's so many different things they can do, and it's just really exciting to see new technology taking place now. Particularly with dark rides, there's so much you can do now.
What I sort of thought
Absolutely.
was interesting about this one was that it can sort of drop vertically as well. So you can have the launches, you can go up and down, it's trackless. Like it's really investing in dark rides, which we've talked about on the podcast before. It's sometimes a difficult sell, especially in the UK, because people don't see them as thrilling. But this is really now an era of a very thrilling dark ride, and that's going to be exciting to see who takes that on and runs with it and what they do with it. So yeah,
Well, Dance Macabre, we're coming off an incredibly innovative dark ride concept. So dark rides are no longer technically track rides that need these 30, 40, 50,000 square foot show buildings. I mean, they could be, look at the new attraction at Paulton's this year, the Game Changer that Logotronics worked on. You can contain things in an existing building, that's about the size of a flat ride and really make it, something that's immersive and repeatable.
Some parks just don't have the room to expand, so you do have more of a smaller space to kind of fit, which I think Dance Macabre works so well at Efteling in that little space. But it's an incredible dark ride that they've managed to fit in. So yeah, I'm excited to see what else they're going to do.
See who's going to be the first to buy one of those. On to Dollywood, which is a part that I know that you love, and you talked about it at length when we did our road trips episode. So they had a big announcement with Mac. And it's being classed as their most significant attraction investment ever, which is a bold claim. And it's going to be called Night Flight Expedition, opening in 2026.
Yeah, this is, I believe it'll be the second version of the rocking boat ride system that Mock Rides will have introduced. The first one debuted at Futurescope in France last year, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, whenever you have an attraction that has to go in a ginormous show building, that building is part of the budget for the ride. It's not just the ride, it's landscaping, it's queuing, it's show building. And this is not a park like Universal Studios Florida that just happens to have giant sound stages that could be converted into dark ride show buildings. So it's a massive investment. It's another hybrid ride, so you're combining a bunch of different genres of ride, like a river rapids, a flume, a coaster, a dark ride, all in one. But really, for Dollywood, their bread and butter are families. They do have some real deal thrill rides. Lightning Rod is a real deal thrill ride, as is Thunderhead, the wooden coaster from GCI, Tennessee Tornado, and Flying Eagle. But they're family rides. Big Bear Mountain, the huge Vekoma multi-launch coaster that debuted a few years ago, and now this is really and this is sort of the cap on Wildwood Grove. Essentially, it'll be like that. They may still have more room to go back there, but Wildwood Grove has become a park within a park now. You could spend half a day in this area between the flat rides, the entertainment, the food, and now essentially 2 e-ticket rides with Night Flight and Big Bear Mountain.
Because it looks like they're going full hog on this, because it's got like onboard audio as well. So you've got indoor water hybrid coaster with onboard audio as well. They're really going all out for this, aren't they?
Well, I appreciate that, right? Because if you're gonna, this is not a cheap ride system. So the whole thing is very high end. It's really being developed in much the way like an Orlando park attraction would be developed. And in this one, I believe I had heard that they had developed the story for the ride first, then went out to market to all the ride vendors and presented the storyline and said, okay, propose the ride system, and what would you do? What would you plug in this building? And so that's what ultimately won Mock Rides the job.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a little bit reversed from the way it usually is.
Yeah. Usually it'd be like, we want to build one of these. What story can we build to go with it? This ride system from Mack, it also won at the Golden Ticket Awards recently. It was Best New Innovation. So it's one of those where it seems like it's not just a gimmick. it actually, like, I've not ridden the one in Futuroscope, none of us have, but it seems like it's actually a good innovation as well. It's not just trying to do something new for the sake of it. It's something that actually really works. And I know, like we said, you sung Dollywood's praises so highly. I'm sure that they'll execute this one really, really well. The boat that was unveiled at IAAPA looks beautiful. I was like, what a pretty looking boat.
I think we're at a point where Dollywood is now a 2-day park. If you really want to not just do everything one time, if you want to see the shows and you want, that's why I think the value they present, along with Dolly's Splash Country next door and their 2 resort hotels and the cabin rentals they have. I mean, you could put a really great holiday package together and make the most of it truly. And then, after you're done with that, you've got all of the other ancillary attractions on the Parkway and Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. You have Anarchista. So that this has really become kind of a nucleus for family holidays in America.
Interesting. Another one that we mentioned on our road trips episode, I think it was the last one, is this huge installation at Six Flags Over Texas, Tormenta, which is their huge new B&M dive coaster, and the train was unveiled at IAAPA as well.
Yep, and these are 8 across dive coaster trains. So in recent years, B&M presented a 7 across option to go with the 6 across, like Efteling has in Haida Park. So the 7 across rides, I think, were Iron Menace at Dorney, and then the Dr. Diabolicals at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. And those utilize the original size track that B&M has. So like the same style of track you'd find on Shambhala at PortAventura, for example. When you get up to the 8 across out to the 10 across trains, the track is just enormous. It's even wider in gauge. And this particular ride, I mean, when they say a beast of a ride, there's no other dive coaster that will even come close to this in terms of scale. I mean, 309 feet tall.
It's amazing.
So to put that in perspective, that is the height, 1 foot short of the height of Millennium Force's lift hill.
Oh,
it has to be, said that this is just an enormous ride. And the track length over 4,000 feet on a dive coaster. I mean, you guys have the prototype at Alton Towers that's like 30 feet long, right?
If that.
This is, just, I think it's going to tie the record for inversions on a dive coaster with Wrath of Rakshasa with 5 inversions. But we always say like, wow, this is going to really change the skyline of a park. This is going to change the skyline of the park. They've got that, as I discussed earlier, the oil derrick, Intamin's first amusement project there. That's a, roughly 300-foot tall observation tower themed like an oil derrick because Texas. And then you've got the Texas Starflyer, which stands even taller than that. And the tallest coaster up to this point is Titan, which is a Gio Vanola hypercoaster that's similar in scope to Goliath at Six Flags Magic Mountain. So it's same ride system, same trains. I think it adds 1 extra helix. But this is going to stand 50 feet taller than Titan. And it just blows my mind. And, again, it's going to completely change the park forever. The entry experience, because it's built right in the Spain section, which is near the front gate, really cannot overstate how much this is going to change the look and feel of the park in a very
one
way.
of the inversions looks it's like one of the inversions is like almost as high as the drop.
Yeah, I think the Immelman, I don't have the number in front of me, but the first thing before we jumped on this, that Immelman is about the height of the big one's lift hill.
It's 218 foot
It's
is
like,
the Immelman.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not even 20 feet shorter than the big one's lift hill for an inversion. I mean, think about that.
It is, you can't really imagine it, can you? They've got it's going to have the tallest vertical loop as well on a dive coaster, 180-foot vertical loop on it, and you're
That's
like 8 abreast.
The loop is going to be the height of the drop on Oblivion. So just put that into perspective.
It's going to be crazy. I mean, look, I don't think me and Kev will be getting out to ride it next year, sadly, but I hope that you do, Mark, because I hope that you can come back and report back what it's actually like. We've always thought of dive coasters as being a one drop and done, really, and not really doing a lot else. And so, this one's going to be very interesting. Did you see the train unveiling, or did you see the train once it was unveiled at IAAPA?
once it was unveiled. See, I'm at the show working, as you guys know, so I didn't have the time to kind of mingle and be like, "Hey, pull the curtain off. I got to get to my next meeting." So I waited until the 1,000 people cleared so I can walk over and have a look. In reality, the train looks great. It's the same 8-across train that you would see, on Valraven or Yukon Striker, those type of rides. The same vest restraint, same restraint. So it's great. I love those restraints. They accommodate a very broad size of rider, so you don't need like what we call the big boy seat. Here we have the 2 seat belts. It's easier to load, unload, and it's efficient. So it's going to be great.
Oh yeah, you can't be a dive coaster. Just get into that edge, hang on the edge and drop in, and also being 300 foot in the air and drop in.
It's absolutely insane. Close to IAAPA, the IAAPA Expo home in Orlando, SeaWorld Orlando, they unveiled a new Vekoma dark ride, and they had the ride car for that. It's going to be called SeaQuest Legends of the Deep.
Yeah, and they never run out of interesting, cool names related to marine life, right? At some point, they're going to run out. They're going to come calling or need a thesaurus. But no, this was kind of a surprise for a lot of people. And to be clear, this is a new build, as in a new show building going up. This is not replacing anything. So this is right on the heels. They put in a flying theater last year in an old simulator building. And, just if you look at the park, I mean, the direction they've gone as they've gone away, say, from the marine life shows, because that's sort of like the past of SeaWorld from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now they're going more towards the rides and experiences and doing the marine life from an educational standpoint. So they still have the killer whale show, but it's more an educational thing. So now we're able to experience the mission of the park, which is, conserving sea life and doing all the great things that SeaWorld is known for. But the conveyance is now you in a ride vehicle. You're on a coaster. You're in a dark ride. You're in a flying theater. So I think in reality, this is really going to give SeaWorld more of a competitive edge, because the Orlando park scene is exploding, obviously, whether you're looking at the family-owned parks like FunSpot or the big giant corporates like Universal and Disney. So this is really what SeaWorld needs. They need to keep putting these type of attractions in, especially in Orlando, to be able to market and stay current, both with locals, because this is very much a locals park, but also to capture tourists, at least for a day while they're on their trip.
Yeah. And this is an innovation from Vekoma. We've not seen this before. I know when we've been chatting, you said actually it looks a little bit like the Arthur concept that Mac have at Europa Park.
Yeah, and I'm unsure if this is a gravity or fully powered ride experience, but the vehicles do have the ability of spinning 360 degrees. And then again, anytime you have a dark ride conveyance system that is suspended, it, from a creative standpoint, it opens up the world, because now your scenic is underneath the vehicle. It's to the side of the vehicle. It's not just straight ahead or up. It is down. It's sort of like the Peter Pan's flight model when you're flying over London.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see, I have not been back to Europa since Arthur opened, and I have not been on the other Max suspended powered ride systems like this. I think Universal Beijing has one as well in their Jurassic Park area. But and there's one in the Middle East as well. But this, I'm very intrigued for this, and I think it's a great fit for them. And it's also nice to have more indoor rides, because it's Orlando. There's a lot of lightning storms, so you need things that could stay open during those storms, which happen every day during the spring and summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have been on Arthur, and it's a fantastic ride. And obviously, this is a Vekoma; it's not a Mac, but it's a great family experience as well. It's something that I rode with my 4-year-old daughter, and it was thrilling enough, but also family friendly enough. So yeah, if it's anything like that, then that'll be great. And again, it's investment into the innovation in dark rides, which seems to be a bit of a theme that's come out of this. Maybe we're all realizing we do need to go indoors a bit more.
It's also an investment in family rides. That's an important designation to make as well, because for the longest while, especially in America, we were thrill coaster or kiddie ride. It was a kiddie area or a 300-foot coaster. The in-between market was really abandoned, and that's a shame, because the rides that people can ride together are the log flumes, the dark rides, the rapids rides, and the family coasters, and we've seen a true renaissance in that, and I'm really thrilled.
Yeah. Something that's not a family coaster that was unveiled by your previous employer, Zamperla. They have announced a huge, are they calling it a double Heartline coaster?
The model is double heart. It's an LSM coaster. I believe it uses their lightning trains, which are the same rolling stock that are on Top Thrill 2 and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the ride, but the launch coaster that debuted at the P&E Playland this year. So, and it's essentially, I'm not going to say it's a copy of, but it's in a similar vein of something like a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2, in that you have it's a full circuit coaster with single station, and I'm assuming this will have a single train operation, and you launch back and forth a few times before you clear the top, and then you roll through, and then you park. S&S also has a ride in existence like this at Playland's Castaway Cove in Ocean City, New Jersey. So it's really, these type of rides are perfect for parks that have small footprints and smaller budgets, let's say, for the project. So it allows you to present a looping coaster, a launch coaster. You have great presence because of the height, because of how compact it is. So I have no doubt, once this opens, because usually buyers want to see the prototype and ride the prototype. So once the prototypes start opening of these rides, I think we're going to see quite a few of these pop up around the world.
Yeah, kind of easy to slot in a lot of little gaps that parks might have, but like you say, enough of an impact. They also announced it was a ride in partnership with Morgan's Wonderland. This is a ride that's been designed to be fully wheelchair accessible, which is nice to see. Again, another innovation, which is going to be called, I'm going to say the Wings. It's Wing with a Z. I don't know if that's how they're saying it.
I think it has a Z with Zamperla. So I wrote, this was on the show floor and I got to ride it. It was super fun, fully interactive, and like the most silly thing you could imagine. When you have all these adults sitting in a seat in dress clothes and suits and dresses and what have you, flapping their arms. Only people that are watching this will see this. This is what makes you go up. When you stop, it's like riding Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and you push down and then you swoop back down.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of in a lot of ways a hybrid of a Dumbo or what is sometimes generically called a telecombat, which is a round ride that, you control the height, and a parachute ride with a controlled descent because you're going up and down in that motion while the whole thing spins. It's super fun. This is another one of those. I think we're going to see these popping up everywhere. And I love how Zamperla really has put a lot of R&D into the aspect of inclusion and allowing guests of all, everyone should be able to ride. And in this experience, a guest in a wheelchair can roll right up on the platform, and they don't even have to transfer out of their chair. They could just experience the full range of motion of the ride, flap their wings, because everyone should be able to fly. That's like a God-given right, I think, right?
And you can imagine one of these at every park almost, really. If you imagine every park seeing something like this, they'll go, you know what, that'd be great for inclusivity and everything.
I mean, it stands about 5 stories tall. I would guess it went right to the ceiling of the convention center, the tower structure. So, and it looked like the ride vehicles getting up to about 35 feet in height, roughly. Great ride and something different. I've always really respected Zamperla for kind of like Intamin in that regard, that they're not afraid to take chances. Every year they're introducing somewhere between 1 and 4 new ride concepts, and maybe one of those catches on, like the Rocking Tug or Disco, and then they're able to mass produce those. But they always have something new, and it just never feels like they're mimicking someone else's design. They're coming up with new concepts that other people follow, which is really cool.
Yeah, and also it's a workout, isn't it? When you're at the theme park, so you've had your chips and your hot dog. Now I'm just gonna go and do a bit of an arm workout afterwards.
If you know me, the only exercise I get is chasing down the ice cream truck. So I was winded halfway through the ride. I had to take a break. I told my partner, "Hey, let's see what it feels like to go down a little bit," because I was running out of breath.
We put on an extra long cycle for you as well, so you can keep going.
Exactly.
Oh, good. I think those were the big announcements. There have been some smaller announcements, including some specific coaster announcements. RMC didn't unveil anything new, but they did announce they've got a new single rail coaster coming to Family Kingdom amusement park, which is not one that's crossed my desk, but I'm sure it's crossed yours.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Great, independent park right on the seafront. So it's one of those like, Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach, let's say, right in a resort town, Myrtle Beach. And the park is home to a 1960s Philadelphia toboggan wooden coaster called the Swamp Fox. So this is the perfect accompaniment to that. And the park really hasn't seen, a new major thrill ride in quite some time. So they just went through new ownership change, so this is the perfect addition, I think.
The single rails have opened, obviously, here this year at Wallaby Holland to mixed reviews. So I don't know if I've not ridden them myself. This is just from people that I know who've ridden them have said they're maybe not as impressive as they hoped or as they looked off ride, but obviously they are still a fairly new concept. So it'll be interesting to see how more of these develop as they start building more of them. Anything else that you spotted that you were like, yeah, that's an interesting one?
Well, all of us in Cincinnati are super pumped for the return of Phantom Theater, Dark Ride at Kings Island, and Sally Dark Rides unveiled the Maestro and No Legs Larry animatronics during a media press event during the expo, and there were again over 1,000 people standing there waiting for this. Cincinnati is a very sentimental city. I'm only 5 years into living here, but they really grab onto history, and they don't like to let go of the past. So the fact that this is a cherished ride at Kings Island is coming back with an interactive feature. So it's going to have flashlights where you can, I'm assuming you're going to look for ghosts, or I don't know what the full story is yet, but sort of like, it reminds me of the Monsters, Inc. Dark Ride at Tokyo Disneyland, where the guests are given flashlights to score points. But nonetheless, everyone is so pumped for the return of that ride. And again, it's a dark ride, and they're putting money into it. And it's really, I always say Kings Island, it's in my backyard. It is one of the best rounded parks in the industry. They've got big coasters, but they have a huge family area. They've got water rides. They've got the Eiffel Tower observation tower, just something for everybody. It's not just coasters and kiddie rides. So this is really exemplifies what Kings Island stands for. So I think it's going to be a huge hit. The others that I came across, Legoland in California and Florida will be debuting identical ART or art engineering indoor coasters called Galactic Coaster. And this is going to borrow kind of some of the philosophy from Test Track V2, not V3, which I just rode last week for the first time, which I like more than V2. And guests are going to be able to design their own spacecraft that they will then board, and that is your ride. So I guess there's some kind of a design studio you're going to go through in the pre-show or the queue, and then you'll board the train. But both of these attractions, and again, nice to have another indoor attraction, air conditioned for both markets, will be great. Florida to stay out of the thunderstorms. So another great addition. And everyone loves an indoor coaster. If you don't, you're not my friend.
I wonder if we might see that popping up over here as well then after, if you've got one of those two Legolands.
Said they've not had a new coaster for like 20 years. I think it's at California Resort and 15 in Florida. So it's been a while since they've had a new coaster. So
yeah, it's been some time. Both the California park is really like Legoland's greatest hits. They've got if there's an iconic Legoland attraction, they probably have it there. It was the fullest Legoland park when it first opened, and they've just continued to add and add and add. And it's really become very much a cash cow for Lego. It's one of their best performing parks. The Florida park has had success, not I don't think on the level of California, but if you recall it was adapted from an older park called Cypress Gardens. So they went in there, and there's still some attractions like the old garden boat ride, which has been given a Lego twist. It still operates, but it's still a gorgeous park. It's a lakeside setting, great shows, great entertainment. So I think in both parks, this is the perfect fit. Just sort of like ratchet up the thrill just one notch, I think, because every Lego park has the dragon, which is in Windsor, it's a little bit more tame than average, but most of them are zero force coasters. And this is going to be on that level, I would say, but being in the dark adds another level of thrill. So, and then SeaWorld San Antonio, this one's kind of slipped under the radar. There's not a lot of information out there. They have a new B&M family inverted coaster called Barracuda Strike that will be debuting. And a very cool location right by Steel Eel, which is a Morgan mini hyper coaster. It doesn't quite hit 200 feet, but it's an iconic ride there. And the lift hill of Barracuda will actually cut through the structure of Steel Eel, kind of like how Icon cuts through the big one. That's the closest comparison I can give you. And then it'll go towards the Park Central Lake, do some maneuvers, and come back. So I believe it'll be a 2-train ride too. So it'll have decent capacity, like the Big Bad Wolf, Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So that's another one that has somewhat slipped under the radar. And then one other, S&S Worldwide debuted their Rail Rider, which is a new family coaster, another single rail coaster. Single rail is all the rage right now. And if you recall, because S&S Worldwide bought the rights to Aerodynamics, so they are basically like they provide parts and service and support for old aero rides for people who need that, for operators who need that. And they tried to reintroduce the steeplechase, which the only one left operating is at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And unfortunately, it didn't quite catch on. It was kind of, I guess, a hybrid of low capacity and the cost. So the Rail Rider kind of takes on both of those issues, because now you have a train, and the ride vehicles, each car has 2 seats. You sit in line like on a log flume.
Okay.
And you can go, any level of thrill, essentially. You can go real mild up to something more like an aggressive mine train. And S&S is really well known for setting up full test sections at their factory in Logan, Utah, where prospective buyers can go and actually ride the thing. And this is the first time in a long time, if ever, that they've done a full ride that is ready to be sold and installed at a park. So a smaller, compact layout, more for like a family park or FEC. And it's a really cool system. They have the stripped down car that's very bare bones. And then the one that they had on display at the show is more like a mine cart, which looked gorgeous. The fiberglass was really nice on it. So there's really any number of ways you can theme it. And another example of a family coaster system. So
yeah, it's a theme, isn't it? That, like you say, the family market is obviously something that's being heavily invested in. Who would have thought that the steeplechase is getting like a revamp for 2026 in our old ride system? Someone's thought, actually, there is something in that. Let's try and do something with it. You have missed off one big announcement, which is a giant nutcracker, which I think you might have had something to do with.
It's nuts, isn't it? S&S took time during the presentation to thank Lagoon for their purchase of one of their giant size Screamin' Swings that has 40 seats. So it's the next size up from the model that's at Thorpe Park in Leesburg. I don't think one of the larger ones exists in Europe yet. These are operating at Cedar Point, Valley Fair, Busch Gardens, Tampa, SeaWorld San Antonio. So it's a really, really dynamic, awesome ride. And our company 3DX is fabricating a 50-foot tall German nutcracker sculpt, which is going to be clad around one of the air tanks, because they didn't care for the look of it. So they're putting a giant nutcracker around it, which is what you do. And then we're also doing some sculpted animals that are going to go on a glockenspiel that'll be up above the entrance of the ride. So every 15 minutes, the doors will open and they'll come out and do a little show. So,
cool.
But again, like I said on the road trip show, the Lagoon is the closest thing we have to a European family-owned park in America, and it is absolutely worth a trip to go see. The attention to detail that they put in to theming and little bits and details is really like something you would expect in Germany, Austria, those type of places.
Yeah, it sounds it like for a sky swatter to go to this level of detail. We need to cover that tank because it doesn't look great. There are a lot of parks who would have just gone, that's how it is. And
well, some other parks move the tank. They just run airlines. And they'll put it back a house or something, but. It is what it is. So we're really excited. We had a great meeting with the Lagoon team. They're a lot of fun. And they released an ad for their we call it Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving here, when everyone tramples everyone at the shopping mall. It's a wonderful American tradition.
Oh, we've cottoned onto it, don't worry.
It's big over here now.
Commercialism at its best. But they put this ad out announcing the Black Friday season pass sale for 2026, and the ad utilizes the 3D model of the Nutcracker that we created, that is terrorizing a town, kind of like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's walking down the main street And then all of a sudden it's beer stein spills and all this beer dumps on people sitting at a cafe. And then there's a guy sitting in his bathtub just taking a bath, and the Nutcracker walks by, you see it, and he just looks at it, stone face, and he said, "That's nuts."
It is very good. And for a family thing, you sent me the advert, I shared it on Instagram, but again, it's just a level of detail. They didn't, it's a Black Friday sale. They could have just done a graphic for it, but they've actually literally produced a movie trailer for it. And it is like, it's such high quality. It's unbelievable. And there's a lot of humor in it, and there's a lot of fun in it, which I think sometimes we do miss in, even though theme parks, amusement parks are places for a lot of fun. Sometimes the branding, the marketing all gets a little bit serious and a bit scary and a bit intense. And this was just a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed watching that one. Do seek it out if you haven't seen it already.
We are an industry of fun. We should have fun with it. I mean, yes,
Absolutely.
budgets govern how much we can do and what we do, but with what you have fun. You know, everyone is so afraid. Anyway, it's great. It's sort of like the example of Holiday World with Good Gravy and all the tongue-in-cheek humor, and now this. It's really it's fantastic.
And well, that about not like I say sums up IAAPA Expo 2025. There was so much going on there. Like you say, it's a full week of people chatting, unveiling stuff, lots of conversations. But I think we've gone through most of the big ones that if you weren't keeping a close eye on the announcements, that is what you missed. There are always more announcements to come, as we know, but this is a big chance for a lot of the manufacturers and parks to make the big ones. So it was really good to hear from you and get your thoughts on that.
We also had IAAPA. There's an event the Thursday night, which is kind of like it's called IAAPA Celebrates, and it really is a celebration. And it is always somewhere between 3 and 4 hour event where one of the theme parks, there's a private buyout, which includes all the rides and, food and drink and open bar. So what can go wrong? This year it was at Universal's Epic Universe. And according to what we were told, it was the first all park private buyout that Epic has had. And it in 4 hours is not a lot of time, obviously, even with low queues, but we were able to do every attraction except Fire Drill and Curse of the Werewolf in the 4 hours, plus eat as we walked. So we didn't stop for character greets. We didn't see shows, but I finally got on Battle of the Ministry, jaw on the ground. Absolutely stunning, amazing in every way. I'm still unpacking what I thought because I got one ride on it. I really need several more. But instantly top tier dark ride, maybe top 5, definitely top 10. And, everything else, like even Monsters, when we were there for a vendor preview back in May, it was very much like technical rehearsal. So there were still some effects not working 100%. I feel like we got pretty much everything. And I finally get what that ride's about. So that too is a world-class top tier dark ride.
Did you rate Harry Potter above Monsters?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go on Battle of the Ministry because it was in that weird time when I went where you had to, everyone was doing the mad rush on their phone trying to get a virtual queue line. So I didn't get to ride it, but that's interesting.
They're very different. But the thing about Ministry is there's really not much I can compare it to. So just, when I'm, not that, Monsters, there's a ton, it's really that, and Forbidden Journey, but there's something about the scale, the size of that show building. The ceiling must be 70 feet high. I mean, I don't know what was going on. And it's sort of, if you've ever seen the Bourne Stuntacular, Universal Studios Florida, it was very difficult at times to really understand what was digital and what was practical. That's how well everything kind of blended together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We all got off the thing and said, I have no idea what just happened. But, just amazing.
In a good way.
and we literally waited 10 minutes for it. Like we went right to it and got right through and got on. And then we just decided, instead of rewriting, which maybe we should have done, let's just in order. So we did Racers, and then we went to Isle of Burke, and then I hadn't been in Nintendo yet. So we did all 3 rides there. And then we finished with Monsters.
Oh yeah. It wasn't open when you went for your preview, was it? Okay. What did you think of Minecart Madness?
I actually liked it.
Did you?
I was prepared. Well, here's the thing.
You only queue 5 minutes for it, Mark. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. There's a thing, the word that people use, anticipation. when something is built up so high that by the time you go to ride it, it can never meet those expectations. This was the opposite. I went in expecting janky, janky and rough. And aside from a few side to side, shutters, between, turns or whatnot, I sat in the front row, so that could have, impacted my experience as well. But I only waited 20 minutes for it too. I understand this thing gets 2 to 3 hours. If I waited 2 hours for it,
I waited 2 hours for it.
My opinion would have been, is definitely skewed, because 20 minutes is reasonable for anything. And I don't know that I would wait 20 minutes more for it, but I think that means I'm never going to ride it again, because unless I'm there on a private buyout, that's probably not happening. But I mean, the land was cool. And all the restaurants were open, which was cool. So we got to go into the Toadstool, and they had sort of a buffet of the greatest hits of the menu, and you could just grab what you want. And so that was a real highlight.
So has Universal won 2025 then, Mark, over Disney?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I still go back to, I think they complement each other. I think it's still they're very different. Obviously they're going after the tourist dollar, and that's what they have in common. But Disney is still, I would say still that standard, that the average tourist is going to go there. And I don't think Epic is going to impact attendance at Disney at all. I think Disney people are Disney people. I think what Epic is going to do is create new visitors to Orlando that have not gone before, that will now be Universal people. And that's great, because the more people that go, the more motivation the parks have to invest in this arms race. The only winner in an arms race are the fans, because we get more experiences. So in that, it's always fun to debate which is better. And I think that my favorite park in Orlando is still Islands of Adventure, but even there, you could say like almost a quarter of the park is almost abandoned. There's, in that whole area where, there's no attractions, where Poseidon's Fury was, all the way back to Hogsmeade. But just when you have one park that has Hagrid's and Velocicoaster and Spider-Man and Hulk and Dudley Do-Right and Popeye, those are top tier in their genre attractions. So that's kind of where I sit. But I think Epic, I tried not to let my preview back in May skew my opinion of the park. I understood it still was in adjustment mode, and seeing it fully operational definitely, I feel like it has a very bright future. And they're already talking about expansion, so that's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you get your night ride in on Stardust Races like I told you had to?
Front row, yellow track.
Oh. See, I prefer the yellow. I prefer yellow track as well. Everyone says the green's more intense, but I prefer yellow.
We didn't have time to do both because we were just moving ride to ride. But yes, got front row, yellow. There happened to be a single rider there. We had a group of 5, so I just jumped. I didn't wait for anyone to say, "Oh, who wants the front?" I just ran.
Amazing.
You're just pushing all your mates out of the way.
Exactly. Elbows out. That's it. So,
as soon as you saw it was front row as well. Front row, get there quickly.
Exactly. I still stand by that the sleeper ride in the park is Hiccup's Wing Gliders. That's the ride no one talks about, that top tier family coaster. It's right there with Big Bear Mountain and Hagrid's, in my opinion, for best family coaster in the world.
Yeah.
And I hear Mechlodon at Wallaby, Belgium should be in that conversation now as well. The crazy triple launch family coaster from Gerstlauer that has airtime in abundance. So
well, I'm not ridden it yet. Well, I do need to get to Wallaby, Belgium. Well, I'm glad you had a better experience than your not that you had a terrible time at your preview at all, but I know that there was things that you wanted to do that you couldn't get to do. So I'm glad you've managed to experience those at Epic. I love Epic. I think it's a great park. I really enjoyed my couple of days.
It's only going to get better. That's the thing. It's only going to get better as the trees grow in and more attractions are added. And I think especially locals are really anticipating when they add it to the annual pass, because as it is now, you still have to buy a day ticket to go, which is, not cheap. But I guess as attendance and wait times look, it seems like th're getting it. So
that's the thing.
It's good news.
Yeah, if it was on an annual pass, how many more people would be in the park every day? And I'm kind of glad that it's not selfishly.
Yeah,
but I can imagine
a reservation system, no doubt. And a lot of people with passes would probably get locked out, or they'd have to limit use per month or something like that. Because like you said, it would be unbearable.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. I loved hearing all about that. Like I say, on my bucket list to go to one of these expos. I am going to very much try and get to the one in London next year. And I won't be crowding around any roller coaster designers or being an annoying enthusiast. I just want to go in and see what it's all about with my own eyes. So thank you, Mark, for joining us once again and giving us the lowdown. You're always very good at doing that. We're not going to see you now until 2026. Can you believe it? We are going to be taking a short break over Christmas. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. So if you haven't already, do hit subscribe. Then you will know when we start back in the new year. If you don't do that, then you might miss it and you might miss some good stuff that we've got coming up. And if you'd like to leave us a review, those are always very welcomed as well. Mark, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure.
And everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Parkcast, the UK's original theme park podcast.